Visit Valley Park Radio online. www.valleyparkradio.org.uk. Valley Park Radio.
Darren's Valley's radio station. Valley Park Radio.
And welcome along to this Thursday afternoon here at Valley Park Radio. We've got another episode of Hope on Prescription. I'm on this side of the desk, and on the other side of the desk is my good friend Gemma.
Hello. How are we this week?
I'm okay. I'm a little bit burnt on the neck because I was rather silly. I was out in the sun and didn't put the sunblock on. My own fault, I have to say. But there you go.
It was worth it, wasn't it?
It was a lovely few days.
Time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, well, welcome everyone to all of our wonderful listeners. I hope you are all doing really well and enjoying this beautiful summertime that we have been presented with. I'm really pleased to have another wonderful guest speaker on with us this week. Julian is a member of our Writing for Wellbeing Workshops and has come along today to have a chat with us about his lived experience with working with creative tools within his support groups, alongside how he has found our Writing for Wellbeing Workshops. Julian, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. It's really good to be here.
You are so welcome. Julian, it would be wonderful if we could start with you telling us a little bit more about yourself.
Right, well, what can I say? You know, I had sort of a childhood which was kind of very happy in lots of ways, but there were a few sort of sad things that happened, and I'm a person I've diagnosed with a mental health problem, but generally I'm kind of trying to be really positive. I love my job. I work with adults with learning difficulties and people with dementia. I've worked with all sorts of groups over, I'm 61, so I'm getting on a bit, but I've worked with lots of different people over the years, and I've really enjoyed, you know, what I've done, and I love writing poetry. I also like science. I sort of watch lots of things about science on YouTube, and you know, I'm interested in people and stuff, you know, like, and writing about the people I work with.
Brilliant, and thank you so much for sharing that. And it is a wonderful thing that you are doing with the people. We've had many of conversations outside of here of all the incredible work, which I cannot wait to share with the listeners a little bit more. Before we go any further, let's have Julian's first song choice, and it is Brown Eyed Girl.
That's a good song to start off with, Julian. Thank you very much for that. That's Brown Eyed Girl by Van Morrison. Studio's hot down here. I mean, we've got the door open and I can see big black clouds in the distance. So I thought we would just have a quick look at the weather. This afternoon, a lot of sunny spells, but a few scattered showers, mainly in the early afternoon, but it should turn dry later. So hopefully those grey clouds are going to pass us by. It's going to stay a bit windy though. Tonight's going to start cloudy with some clear spells. Around midnight, an area of patchy rain is expected to move in from the west, and rain should clear away to the east with the clouds breaking up behind it. So maximum temperature today is getting up to the early 20s, and sunset tonight is going to be at, I'm just going to try and find it on my little piece of paper here. Yeah, it's going to be a nice sunset tonight at 21:20, so that's not bad, is it?
Lovely. And you know what? Sometimes it's actually quite nice to have the rain, especially in this weather. I just want to go outside and lay there and just let it rain.
We need a huge thunderstorm, don't we?
Yes.
To just get rid of this humidity. But there you are.
Absolutely. And that song was just lovely. I can't help but sing it like sha la 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 la.
I love that song, and I chose that for me. The other songs I've chosen because I use them at work, but that one is just one of my favourite songs. I like the other songs, but I use them at work, and that's why I've chosen them to, you know, show what we do, you know, really.
Absolutely. Oh, lovely. Brilliant. So, without further ado, let's continue our chat. Hope on Prescription has been running a series of Writing for Wellbeing workshops at the Stone Pavilion, as some of our listeners may know. We've had some newbies come along, and then we've had some people who have written their work before, and Julian is one of our incredible guests who has come along every single week. So firstly, thank you so much, Julian.
Well, thanks for doing it. I've really enjoyed. I was amazed that it was actually on, you know. It's the sort of thing that normally would be on in central London, and to find it out here, I mean, no disrespect, but usually something like that because it's kind of a minority thing, you'd
Yeah.
normally find it in central London.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely. So it's nice to bring it down into our community,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
lovely, really nice.
Brilliant. And how have you found these workshops then? As you've been coming along, what's it been giving you? What's it been doing
Well,
for you?
I mean, it's sociable. You know, you can go and socialise, and there are nice people, and you know, so that's really good. I write poems. It's good to share poems. You get us doing exercises, and you've really sort of. I mean, I used to sort of put off, I'll write tomorrow, I'll write tomorrow, I'll write tomorrow, I'll write tomorrow. And you've encouraged us to write, and you've said, you know, just try and write something, don't worry about what you... And so I've been sort of taking what you've said, and I've been, you know, writing. So the amount I've written's really gone up, you know, since coming. So, like, encouragement, enjoyment, and it's lovely. And also, like, the other people, you know, I've really appreciated what they've done. You know, some of them were, you know, very funny, very sort of good, you know, like really interesting. So, you know, and I think sometimes people don't think they can write. I mean, I have been writing for years, but so I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a great writer, but I'm used to writing, you know. But I think sometimes people are a bit intimidated, but please don't be intimidated. It's just an environment to have fun and enjoy yourself and express yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you so much. That's really positive feedback, and it really does help shape the workshops and how they flow. And this is what we tried to create, a really relaxing environment that there's no pressure. It's just come along and have some fun. If you don't feel like writing, then let's just engage in some reading of the poems, because I often bring some poems in for us to read as well, just to help for inspiration, but also reading in a group and getting different people's perspectives. It's all really lovely. And Julian, you've wrote some incredible pieces across the week, and it's just so nice to hear and refreshing to hear that you've been writing more. So definitely keep doing that, and we definitely encourage people to come along and join us. Our next Writing for Wellbeing workshop will be on Wednesday the 2nd of July, which is really exciting. It's going to be at 7 o'clock at Stone Pavilion again, so we would love any of you to come and join us if you are free. So, Julian, you're actually going to share one of your poems that you wrote called Pottery. And this was a poem that you wrote, if I'm right, when you was helping somebody who had the use of only one arm. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, the lady had a stroke, so she hasn't got the use of one of her arms. And I was actually in your group, and you said, could I write a poem about being creative? And I thought, well, I work with this lady, and what I do is I use one of my hands and one of her hands, and we roll the clay together. So this poem is about that, and it's called Hands. Yeah?
Yes.
Roll the clay, your hand, my hand, a pair of hands working together, rolling, shaping, holding and scoring the clay. Your hand, my hand, partners in art. You use one hand, but this is not our focus. I have a hand to spare and lend it to you. Your hand makes art with the hand of a friend. Positively we create, but more than this we enjoy, laugh and joke. We are not interested in what you cannot do, but focus on your abilities, and with a helping hand you can do anything.
It's just so beautiful, and you're absolutely right. And teamwork, you know, coming together to support each other is so important. And what a beautiful way to share that story and that creative process.
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to say, I mean, the lady herself is so positive. She's got so much energy. She enjoys herself. So, you know, it's a pleasure to work with her. It really is. You know, she's like...
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Dave, could we please have your song choice
Yes, you know,
this
I was
week?
a bit of a quandary this morning when I was looking at it. What can I play? You know, weather was nice and sunny, but I thought, it might be a little bit rainy later on. What do I do? And ah. So I just really had to roll the dice, and I thought, this one's going to work. This is the Isley Brothers, and this is called Harvest for the World.
Looking for a dose of hope? Welcome to Hope on Prescription, where creativity meets community healing. Join hosts Gemma Burgess and Dave Lockyer on Valley Park Radio, live every fortnight for real stories, songs, poems, and inspiring guests. Discover workshops, competitions, and events promoting creative health and well-being. Get involved or share your service at www.hopeonprescription.co.uk. Follow us on Facebook at Hope on Prescription. Because sometimes hope is just a story, a song, or a brushstroke away. Inspiring hopeful hearts through expressive arts.
How lucky can one guy be? I've switched off the BBC and I've tuned in instead to Valley Park Radio. The music they play is fine. It's just like a vintage wine. So I'll stay here in bed with Valley Park Radio.
Yes, indeed, you're listening to Valley Park Radio on a Thursday afternoon, and this is Hope on Prescription with me, Dave Lockyer, and on the other side of the desk, my partner in crime, Gemma.
Do you know what, Dave? My creative brain, every time that Valley Park Radio jingle comes on, I imagine you in a suit with a glass walking down.
Top hat and a cane.
Yeah, with some flapper dancers in the background. I feel like for a charity event, we should actually do this. Like,
yeah, that would be a laugh, wouldn't it?
it would be wonderful. So, Julian, during a few of our discussions outside of the radio, we have been talking about how poetry can be a therapy. And I would love for you to share your thoughts with our listeners around this, because you had some wonderful insights.
Right, what I'd say is, like, when I was younger, I don't want to go too much into it, but I had sort of, like, when I was a child, you know, things like my father died when I was 11, then I had a brain op, then I was put on medication for epilepsy. That kind of blocks your emotions because it's a mood stabiliser. And then suddenly I came off it. I didn't write anything when I was on the medication. When I was about 36, I stopped taking the medication. And suddenly I started writing poems because the blockage of taking mood stabilisers had gone. And I started writing all these poems. Now, previously, when someone had said, "How do you feel about your dad?" I'd qualify it and I'd say, well, you know, I was a bit upset, but it would all be kind of logicked out. And then suddenly I started writing these poems which were really angry and quite grandiose in a way and very emotional, and, you know, and in a way I was expressing my feelings. I mean, I think poetry, it can develop your voice, your thoughts, your inner strength. And sometimes when you reread things, you're quite surprised by what you have written. I mean, when I came off the meds, about 3 or 4 years later, I was looking after my goddaughter. You know, she's 31 now. She works in marketing in Amsterdam. But then she was a 3-year-old child. And I was just sitting with her, you know, looking after her. And I was reading through my poems. And I suddenly became very upset. And I started crying. And I remember my goddaughter, actually, 3-year-old kid, came and sort of put her arm around me and said, "I love you, Julian." And I was blown away by that. And, you know, obviously, as I say, now she's 31, you know, it's a long time ago. But I reminded her of that a couple of years ago, you know, and we were laughing about it, but it shows the power of poetry. I think you can use poetry. I mean, I have had actual therapy, and I've used poetry, things I've written, I've discussed things in therapy. I think it's just one tool. I mean, it's like, you know, sort of, it can unblock, you know, sometimes when you can't express something. If you write a poem,
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it comes out in a different way, you know, than you're trying to reason and logic everything out, you know, and the poem just comes out differently. So I think writing poetry can improve your confidence. There's the inner voice thing that I've just mentioned.
Yeah.
I've also found that every time I reread poems, not just my own, but other poems as well, but you often pick up lots of things you missed the first time you read them, you know.
Absolutely, and it's like as you grow, your perspective changes. So
Yeah.
that they then like a poem that you may have wrote a while ago might not necessarily have a lesson in it for you at that moment, but in years to come, when you sit down and you reread it, it's like, oh my gosh, I've grown so much, or gosh, that actually really helped me release or that moment. And like you, we all do, we go through these situations in life, but I also have used poetry as a fantastic tool to help me process things. And at times I couldn't articulate it in conversation, but I could articulate it in metaphor or rhyme, or and just getting creative with it. And at the end of it, although you might be writing about something sad, you do sort of have like this inner warmth inside you, because you've managed to release it. And we're creative beings. That's I truly believe we all have a creative power within us. It's just sort of tapping into that more to help us through these times, because we can't avoid them. So if we can't avoid them, what can we do to help feel better? And absolutely, poetry, whether you're writing it or reading it, can really help bring you comfort in those times. So do you think it's effective to reread your own work, Julian, and why do you feel that way?
Well, not all the time, but sometimes I'll go and read something that I wrote a year ago or 5 years ago. Sometimes, sometimes I think, I'm not too keen on what I've written. Other times I'm really quite surprised by what I've written. And other times, sometimes fortunately I manage to think, well, that says what I wanted to say. I mean, and I think when you're writing, if you can say on the page what was in your head, that's as good as it gets, because none of us know how good we are as writers or whatever, but it's like, if it says what you wanted to say, then that's all you can hope for, really. But I think rereading, things, it just, you see different things in it,
it gives you a different understanding, doesn't it?
And obviously, I mean, what I'm saying is, like, these are poems on sort of as therapy. Now, the first poems I wrote were largely about me, but now I'm writing poems that aren't really about me, they're about other people. I think I've done the me bit, which is good, but it helped. But, then you move on to writing poems about other things. And, again, you read about sort of people, I wrote about people that I work with and people that I know. And, it's like you see different things in it,
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I mentioned before, I like to bring one or two poems along to the Writing for Wellbeing workshops, and because reading in groups is so beneficial for many reasons, it can come across as shared interpretation. So I could read a poem and see one thing, but then you, Julian, could read the poem and see another thing, and it opens up the door to be able to have the conversations of those multiple viewpoints, and potentially then inspire somebody to think in a new way around a certain particular topic. It really deepens appreciation for metaphors and symbolism, and it has its cultural references as well throughout. I think something as well is quite important with poetry is it builds empathy and connection. So we often explore personal or emotional feelings, like you said, but we also then can write about other situations as well, whether that be our environment or whether that be people that we spend time with, or situations, that might not necessarily be our own, but we're finding creative ways to discuss it and talk about it. And discussing these in groups can really give us that mutual understanding as well. It also actually enhances listening and communication skills, which in turn then builds your confidence. If you're feeling quite isolated, coming along to a Writing for Wellbeing workshop can actually help you grow your confidence and help you reconnect with people in a calming and creative environment, and that is definitely what we do encourage here. And it exposes us to new poets and different styles of writing. So I've been presented with people that are like, Jem, you are not getting me in the room. I can't write. It's just, I've never wrote anything in my life. And I'm like, okay, well, if you won't let me get you in the room, will you do just a 5-minute exercise with me now? And they'll humour me, And by the end of it, they're like, oh, okay, I didn't realise I was even capable of writing something like that. And it's wonderful because, as I say, it's restoring that confidence in themselves, and getting them to see that anything is possible. I mean, there's this wonderful quote by Audrey Hepburn, and she says, impossible, the word impossible says I'm possible. And I just love that. I absolutely love that. So I definitely encourage people to start writing, whether it be for fun or whether it be to try and see whether it helps. I mean, absolutely, if you need to go and see a therapist, do so. I'm not saying this would replace therapy, but I am saying this is a tool, and I'm saying it from my own lived experience and from all the people that I've spoken to. It can really, really help. So I definitely do encourage that you give it a try for sure. The other thing is as well is like it fosters that creativity and expression. And I just, guys, please definitely come along if you can and you want to. We actually have one happening this weekend as well, Saturday the 28th of June at 10 o'clock at Dartford Library. If you would like to come along, we're just exploring our wonderful selves, our unique selves. Yeah,
come along as well. I mean, Gemma's very welcoming, as are the rest of us. We just want to have fun, really. I mean, you know, it's not a real heavy thing. It's to have fun, and you know, it develops, you know, as we do it. But it's good fun, and we do lots of, you know, we do some exercises, but we have good fun doing it. You know, so anyone's welcome. You know,
absolutely, and try something new. If this is something that you've never even considered doing, just try it. And you know what? While we're on to the subject of try something new, Dave, could we have Shakira try anything?
We can. There you are. That's Shakira try everything from, I think I said Zoopolis. It's actually Zootropolis.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I'm such a klutz.
We were so close.
Emma, you knew what you was talking about, Gemma.
I had the characters running around my brain. But...
I am a bear of very little brain, and more than one person has said this, but hey, there you go.
No, you're very intelligent in many areas, Dave.
I all said.
So, Julian, you work in groups, and I would really love to hear a little bit more about what you do with people.
Right. I mean, well, from the sort of poetry, I mean, I do sort of various groups. I do sort of art, and we do, you know, we go out quite a bit. We do sort of exercise groups. We do, you know, music groups. But the group, I mean, I do a sort of poetry, story and singing group. What I normally do, I mean, the people I'm working with have quite a range of abilities. So some of them have got sort of moderate to probably moderate learning difficulties, but some of them have got more severe learning difficulties. You know, some of them, you know, are non-verbal. Some of them have got some verbal ability. But I mean, one of the things I do is, what I want is for everyone to know they're in the group, they're part of the group. So I start with an introductory song, yeah? And I'm now going to sing just to you, Gemma, as I do. I mean, you know, people at work, my nickname is Barry because they think I sound like Barry White because I've got a bit of a... So Barry White sings a one-off, yeah? So what I would do is, if you were in my group, I would sort of... I sing quite deep because I can't sing higher. It goes all scratchy and croaky, you know. So I'd sing, "Good afternoon, Gemma, how are you? Good afternoon, Gemma, how do you do? Good afternoon, Gemma, it's great to see you. Ba 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 da da, ba ba doo ba da, ba ba doo ba da, ba ba doo ba da ba doo. Good afternoon, Gemma, it's good to see you." And then I go around the room and we include the staff because we're all one group and we want everyone to know that everyone's here and we're all getting ready for our group. We then do something called the wake up song, which I'll show you sometime. The wake up song's great. It gets faster and faster, and you know, in the end you can't keep up with it. You know, it's flap your hands, stamp your feet. You know, I'll show it to you. It's really good. Then poems. We've got a few regular poems. I mean, we use the Ning Nang Nong, we use Macavity, we use I Wish I'd Looked After Me Teeth, and we use poems from different books. People can request poems, but we look to people's responses to poems. So, you know, I mean, there was a lovely poem the other day about a girl whose head fell off, and then she picked it up and put it back on.
If only.
It's really good. Yeah. I use various techniques when reading, like different voices and accents, using pitch and tone and cadence. I don't know what cadence is. Anyway, whatever. But I use different aspects of, you know, like my voice. And the great thing is, I wasn't always very good at doing this. I don't know how good I am now. But what I've done is I've watched the people I work with. They fed back to me. And I've got much better because I've listened to them.
Yeah.
And they've really really helped me to improve, you know. So that's really quite interesting, you know. You know, sometimes I add things to poems. I'm going to read Macavity a bit later. And obviously I could probably get sued for adding additional bits to T.S. Eliot's poem. But what I'm doing is I'll ask the people I'm working with, have you seen Macavity's This Terrible Cat? Have you seen him? Is he on the stairs? Is he on the light fitting? Is he on the bookcase? You know, and it's to try and make it a interactive thing so that they can contribute as well. And, you know, that they usually say, no, we haven't seen him. So I sometimes tell stories. I mean, we tend to focus on one's sort of fairly simple stories like the Three Little Pigs, but we try and make them a bit more adult. And I'll ask them about the pigs. I was asking them about the pigs the other day, and I wanted to know what the names of the pigs were, because it doesn't actually tell you. And it was really funny because I was told by the group that one of the pigs was called Julian, which is my name, and everyone found that really funny. I was really pleased. I thought that's really good. Sometimes I read Dr. Seuss. That's quite good, you know. But it's more about the rhythm and the pattern with Dr. Seuss. It's about the poetry of it.
Very playful.
You know, and what I'll do is I'll talk to them about the story. You know, yeah. I mean, usually also before reading a poem, I'll sort of talk about it and ask a few questions about it. There's a great turn-taking thing. There was someone I worked with, and I would read Dr. Seuss, and then I'd stop, and she would vocalise, and she was kind of talking back to me, and then she'd stop vocalising, and I'd read a bit more. And so she understood, you know, and it's the principles of turn-taking. She was quite... you know, she had quite a high level of need, but she understood that, you know, I would talk, and then she would talk, and then I would talk, and then she would talk. Amazing. And it was really interesting, yeah.
That's wonderful. And one of the biggest things that I take away from that is your ability to adapt to the group's wants and needs and desires. You aren't just going in there going, right, I'm going to read this to you. You're going in there and you're responding to what they want.
They teach you. Yeah. You learn from the group, you know.
Yeah, amazing.
You actually learn, you know, like you become... You know, I mean, I used to go to poetry clubs in central London and read my poems. And sometimes people there would come up to me and say, we liked your poem, but we can't hear you. Can you slow down, speak up? And so I did learn a bit.
Yeah.
But then with the audience I've got now, you know, it's like they're really actually, you know, quite... they give a lot, you know, because you think... And their responses have gone up so much... to the poems that we've read, you know, we because we've read them a number of times, they're really responding, you know.
Yeah, that's
but
wonderful.
It's noting what, you know, what they're responding to, and, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you learn so much from them, you know.
And adding that performance element, it makes it more fun and playful in the moment, doesn't it? And it allows them to play with you. Wonderful.
Yeah. And it's like when you ask them, well, you know, this is a story about three little pigs. I wonder what the pigs were called. Do you know?
I'm curious. What's the other two pigs called?
The other two pigs. Oh, my God. What were the other two pigs? Well, the mum was called... The dad was called Stephen. The mum was called Roseanne. One of the pigs was called Percy. So there was Julian, the three little pigs were Julian, Percy, and there was a girl pig, and I can't remember her name. Oh, I can't remember.
That's okay.
Yeah. But it was, it's kind of
But
quite
it's
interesting.
Yeah, it's
like when you say, well, what was the dad pig called? And someone says Stephen, and you kind of think, oh, that's a nice name for a pig,
Well, it could be anything.
Yeah. But it's just really good,
fantastic.
yeah.
I would actually love you to share the poem by T.S. Eliot, and I think as long as you always say who the poem's by, you're never going to get into trouble. So don't worry about that, because the thing is these things are created, and then creators create from that.
Yeah. I don't think T.S.
We
Eliot.
just always say who it is.
Sure,
but
he'd understand what I'm doing.
Yes, it, and I think he would be very proud, actually.
Yeah.
So it's McCavity. Please.
So I'm going to read that now, yeah?
Yes, go for it.
All right. So, and you're going to join in,
I'm going to. I've got my instructions.
Yeah,
so let's
So,
go.
and I imagine that McCavity to me is he's very posh, but not very honest. He's a bit like Terry Thomas.
Okay.
If you can imagine, he'd have a handlebar moustache probably,
Oh,
and he'd probably smoke a cigar. And he'd probably drive a Jaguar, and he'd probably have left his wallet in his Jaguar. Anyway, so I read him as quite posh,
Go for it.
McCavity is a mystery cat. He's called the Hidden Paw, for he's the master criminal who can defy the law. He's the bafflement of Scotland Yard, the flying squad's despair. For when they reach the scene of crime, McCavity's not there. Have you seen him? Is he in the garden or hiding on the stairs?
No.
McCavity. There's no one like McCavity. He's broken every human law. He breaks the law of gravity. His powers of levitation would make a fakir stare. And when you reach the scene of crime, McCavity's not there. Is he under the chair or hiding over there?
No.
You may seek him in the basement, you may look up in the air, but I tell you once and once again, McCavity's not there. McCavity's a ginger cat. He's very tall and thin. You would know him if you saw him, for his eyes are sunken in. His brow is deeply lined with thought. His head is highly domed. He sways his head from side to side with movements like a snake. And when you think he's half asleep, he's always wide awake. McCavity. There's no one like McCavity, for he's a fiend in feline shape, a monster of depravity. You may meet him in a by-street, you may see him in the square, but when a crime's discovered, McCavity's not there. Is he on the bookcase or sitting in the shed?
No.
He's outwardly respectable. They say he cheats at cards, and his footprints are not found in any file of Scotland Yards. And when the larder's looted, or the jewel case is rifled, or when the milk is missing, or another peak's been stifled, or the greenhouse grass is broken, and the trellis past repair, aye, there's the wonder of the thing. McCavity's not there. Can you see him? Is he sitting on a fence post or flying through the air?
No.
And when the Foreign Office find a treaty's gone astray, or the Admiralty lose some plans and drawings by the way, there may be a scrap of paper in the hall or on the stair, but it's useless to investigate
Because McCavity's not there.
And when the loss has been disclosed, the Secret Service say, it must have been McCavity, but he's a mile away. You'll be sure to find him resting, or licking of his thumbs, or engaged in doing complicated long division sums. Macavity. There's no one like Macavity. There never was a cat of such deceitfulness and suavity. He always has an alibi, and one or two to spare, at whatever time the deed took place. Macavity wasn't there!
Yeah, Dave.
Can you see him in there? Or is he in the cupboard?
No.
No.
And they say that all the cats whose wicked deeds are widely known, I might mention Mungo Jerry, I might mention Griddlebone, are nothing more than agents for the cat who all the time just controls their operations, the Napoleon of crime. Thank you.
Oh, that was epic, I think we can say. Epic.
That's it. You couldn't help but join in then, Dave, could you? It was contagious.
Absolutely.
I think the thing about it is the more fun you have,
Yes.
the more the group enjoy it. And it's like we're all laughing, and I have a plan, because one lady, we can't find Macavity, we've never found Macavity. She says, no. But we have these hoists, in some of our rooms. And I want to make a Macavity. I want us to find a Macavity. And I'm going to sort of have Macavity behind something, and it slowly will rise into the air. And and then they could all say, there he is.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
so that's the plan for the future.
That sounds wonderful.
Finding Macavity.
Oh, I love that, Julian. Thank you so much. My cheeks are hurting. I was smiling the whole way through.
That was great. Absolutely great.
So I would really like it, Dave, if we could perhaps have the Julian's next song, which is Charlie Brown.
Can I just say with this, sorry,
Yeah.
Charlie Brown, it's why does everybody keep picking on me? There are a lot of songs, like there's, a lot of 50 songs are very good, like the Big Bopper, Chantilly Lace, hey baby, that's what I like, and, see you later, alligator, in a wild crocodile.
Oh, yes.
They're good lyrics to repeat, and so we play this with people, and then, I get everyone saying, why does everybody keep picking on me? And I try and get them to do a deep voice, so that's why I chose this.
I've never worked out whether the Charlie Brown is from the Peanuts cartoon or whether it's another Charlie Brown altogether.
I think it's not that.
No.
Yeah, different one.
Okay. Well, let's play it, shall we?
Man Alive, because men's mental health matters. Struggling with mental health? You're not alone, and you don't have to suffer in silence. It's time to talk, time to thrive. Man Alive is a dedicated support hub for men facing challenges like anxiety, depression, grief, addiction, PTSD, and more. No judgment, just real support. Find help, tools, and guidance. Visit Darrant Valley Hospital's Facebook and search Man Alive Padlet. Reach out and help someone today.
VPR.
Indeed, it is VPR or Valley Park Radio to give us our full name on a Thursday afternoon with a superb Hope on prescription. Gemma.
Yes, we are almost at the end of our hour, but before we close today's show, I just wanted to speak again about how we can write poetry for all kinds of situations, all different things that happen. And Julian, you have actually wrote a poem that you wanted to share about having a meal out with people you know. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, it's called The Calendar. Actually, it's about, it's kind of more about sometimes how we might not want to go, I don't know if sometimes we feel intimidated by going somewhere, or we look at,
Like anxious,
we're a bit overwhelmed by it and we might avoid it, and then sometimes we go and then we enjoy it when we get there, but then we come home and we find it difficult to be with people, but then we like it when we do.
Yes.
So it's a bit about that, and it's a true story. I mean, years ago I went out with some people in a hospital I worked at, and for a meal, and they had these free calendars, and I took this calendar, and anyway, I'll read the poem. Yeah.
Yes, please. Yeah.
The calendar, free from the restaurant that I took so willingly, Indian food and company, enthusiastic chatting, photos with colleagues and acquaintances before home to bed. The calendar now lies discarded on the living room floor, as if I haven't got time for time. I am like the sea, rising and falling. I rise in the swell of company, fall in the troughs between. But when I see people, it is an effort to meet their gaze, an effort to talk their talk. Sometimes I am a talking puppet, pulling my own strings. At home, no strings tie me down, free to sail with my mind, to think and dream. But there is turbulence here, currents to drag me down. And then I put on that face again, meet their gaze, swim with their sound. Sometimes I could swim an ocean of faces, and sometimes I could drown.
I really relate to that. I absolutely relate to that. And thank you so much for sharing. And sometimes you can be very vulnerable in poems. And I think it's wonderful that you have the bravery to share that. And I definitely encourage people to share it, because there's something really quite refreshing, actually, isn't it, about sharing those
I think when you get it out, you kind of, you see yourself in a different way, don't you?
Yeah,
you know, like,
absolutely, and it can help somebody actually
through
through a challenging situation, and it can help people feel less alone in a situation like that. So thank you. They do say that if you are friends with a poet, you will live forever in a poem, and I think that is absolutely beautiful. And I don't say that I have wrote lots of poems about lots of important people in my life, for my kids, my friends, family, but also about myself, but also about my environment. Like, I just explore, just get creative, have fun. A little trick for you to try if you may be thinking, I feel quite inspired to maybe write something, but don't really know where to start. Just open up a dictionary and pick one word. Just flick it open. If you haven't got a hard copy of a dictionary, just think about one word that you could choose and just try to write a short 4-line little poem about that one particular word, and you might find that you end up writing more. Just give it a go. And if you do manage to write anything, then please absolutely do head on over to Hope on Prescription's Facebook page or www.hopeonprescription.co.uk and send it in, because we would absolutely love to share everything and anything with our listeners on the radio.
Yeah, come and join us. We really would welcome anyone.
Absolutely. Yep. So just to plug those days again, we have a free poetry workshop, on Saturday the 28th of June. That's this Saturday at 10 a.m. at Dartford Library. And then we have one on Wednesday the 2nd of July at Stone Pavilion at 7 p.m. They are free of charge. You don't have to book. You just come along, bring your wonderful selves. And if you're feeling a little bit nervous, don't worry. Like, guys, we're there. We're very welcoming, and we are very, very kind people, and we're just ready to have some good fun together. So, without further ado, I think it will be a call for the end of today's show, Dave, which I don't want to go.
Yes, I know, it's gone so quick, and Julian's been fantastic today. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for inviting me. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. So you can join us next. When is it, Dave?
It is on the 10th of July at our usual time, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So, we will see you then. We're going to finish up with another tune that Julian has chosen. It's a classic from Mr. Sam Cooke. Be well, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Bye.